everybody, it's Eric, and this is the BugProletariat YouTube channel. It's my first video focusing on my competitive journey in playing the Gene Stealer Cult Codex in 40K. Some of you may have seen my articles over on Frontline Gaming. I do a weekly article for them on Thursdays. Last year it was all focused mainly on Necron stuff, because I was playing Necrons for the ITC season. But my favorite army and my number one love in the game is definitely Gene Stealer Cult, and now that they have a new codex, I'm all in for them in this ITC season, and I'm really going to try and see just how high I can get ranked, not just in the faction rankings with Gene Stealer Cult, but also in the overall ITC rankings. So I figured I'd start creating content for it, and we can all learn together this really complicated army as I make my way, to see how high I can soar in the faction rankings. So thanks to everybody that's been reading the articles. I really appreciate it. And I think if you've read them, if not, go over on Frontline Gaming, BugProletariat on there as well, and check some of them out. The last one I did was a tournament recap, which I'm going to kind of give my lessons learned in this video about, overall what did I learn playing Gene Stealer Cult, my first RTT. So the RTT I played in was 47 people, which is an awesome turnout, at my local game store, Tables and Towers in Westminster, Maryland. It's a gigantic store. I'm just so lucky that I live near it. That guy, that loved 40K made it his passion project. The tables are gigantic. You can kind of see them in the slideshows there. Plenty of place to put your armies. If you're anywhere near Maryland, DC, Virginia, Pennsylvania, definitely come to one of the tournaments. You will not be sorry. You'll be hooked. So I played mainly Necrons last year there. I played one tournament with GSC's old book and did okay. As far as this new codex, I managed to get 4 practice games in before the tournament. I lost all 4 of them, and I was really just kind of getting my feet under me because our book's extremely complicated, and it's real easy to have a bunch of stuff in your list but not really have a competitive army. And also because GSC is so fragile, it's easy to have a bunch of stuff that dies really fast in your list. So a couple of my practice games, one highlight is I played a very, very good Tau player who I was playing a custom cult, and I believe I was tabled by turn 3. I didn't play it perfectly. He was still starting learning his army as well because the new Tau codex came out. But that really just cemented in my mind the fact that I had to go Pauper Princes for that 5+ invulnerable save relic that I gave to my Primus in the list for the RTT. And I know a bunch of people are going Twisted Helix, which I don't think you can go wrong with it. Twisted Helix is also into things like Custodes and Marines, although Marines aren't really big in the meta, at least around my tournament scene right now. But that 5+ invulnerable save for Pauper Princes just kept units alive on objectives. It's really hard, I find, to stay alive on the primary. But using the Nexos to push out the Primus's auras, that 5+ invulnerable becomes an aura. So even if I have some acolytes who are already on the table at the start of the turn, I can give them a 5+ invulnerable save, and it just takes a little bit of a spike to have them survive or string out a few that are behind obscuring terrain or in ruins. And I'm holding an objective that all of a sudden that my opponent didn't think they could shoot me off of, basically. Another thing I really learned is that the Gene Stealer Cult is not all about, we have plenty of deep strike shenanigans, things that can come in and charge a little further. We can come in with an 8 and make that charge. It's just, that's not going to be reliable throughout your games. I saw Nick Nadavati won a GT with a list that actually took the reroll charges and the Icon Ward buff to put things on a 7-up rerollable charge. And that might, work for a player of his level, but that's not going to work for the rest of us, is my guess. That Icon Ward's got to be in that perfect spot. He can't advance and do his +1 to charge action. You're still getting a 7 rerollable, which is, reliable-ish, but you can definitely fail it. I know at one point in the tournament I failed my 3d6 pick the 2 highest 8-inch charge for one of my acolytes who had, the perfect planning upgrade for the 3d6 charge in my Tau matchup, game 1, and it just left a unit of 10 acolytes sitting out in the middle of the table just out there flapping, and they definitely got killed. So I like to use my cults as the 3d6 8-inch charge rollable guys. Definitely, that's a very reliable charge, although it can fail, but that's just going to happen. That's dice sometimes. I like to use that. Gene Stealers are so fast out of trucks. They can get to almost anywhere they're going to be needed on the board. And then the only really other deep striking threats I bring in are 5-man Acolyte squads, one with lying in wait, which is just so good to steal primary from people if they're not expecting it, or just get behind enemy lines, get things like teleport homers, which is a huge secondary for us. But I'm not really putting in, I did in the tournament, I say I'm not really, but what I mean is I've learned from my mistakes. I'm not putting in any extra units in reserve, banking on those 8-inch rerollable or 7-inch rerollable charges if you have an icon ward and you took that call creep. It's just leaving another thing up to chance, up to dice, which in our army that's so fragile, I just don't think we can count on it. Some other things that you can bring in from reserve are definitely some shooting units, neophytes with seismic cannons for sure. My list just doesn't go that way. I think it's definitely a viable build, and I'd love to hear from people in the comments, or if anybody wants to come on who's also a Gene Stealer Cult player, just reach out to me on the Facebook page there as well. And if that's kind of the cult you're running, I'd love to hear about that as well. I do think there is a build of like all neophytes, seismic cannons coming in and just shooting their 12 shots or 6 shots with ignoring the penalties for the heavy weapons. Another big thing I learned in the tournament was we really don't have that bad of a match into Custodes. My second game, and the only game I lost, was into Custodes, and just I really played it poorly and didn't understand the resiliency that Custodes had. They just have a few units on the table, and my opponent, turn 1, he went first and stacked up some things right in the middle that were just juicy targets. And instead of committing, I could have, and some of the pictures you see, that's kind of how the deployment was, the big ruin with all of my Gene Stealer stuff behind it. I could have thrown out 20 Gene Stealers and a unit of 10 Acolytes with advance and charge. One unit gets Might from Beyond. One unit gets Psychic Stimulus, Mass Hypnosis, one of his units. Use Crossfire tokens to make somebody fight last, as well as make Trajan not heroically intervene. GSC have all the tools where I can make that one big all-in push. And if you blunt the things that he put up there, I believe he put a unit of Wardens, Trajan, a Bike Captain, and Dreadnought, the Sword and Board Dreadnought. And now all my stuff probably doesn't kill all that, but it sure puts a huge dent in it, and is now their second turn that he has to deal with. And the primaries he actually took were Investigate Signals in the middle and Stranglehold, so that would have really blunted his secondary game. I think I said primary, but secondary game. So I really just wish I had thought about that more before the game. Just taking a second on my clock and thought, is it really worth it to send 10 Gene Stealers out? What I did was send 10 Gene Stealers out to just try and kill the Dreadnought, which I didn't even do because he bossed some 4-up invulns. And send 10 more Gene Stealers out to try and get to a unit of bikes. Like, I killed a bike and didn't even kill the Dreadnought. And, math probably, the Gene Stealers probably only do kill 1 bike, and I should have realized that's not going to ever be worth it, a good trade for me. So some other things, I guess. I really loved my bikes. Just 2 small units of 4 Jackals were amazing. I know other better players are going to use them to move block and stuff like that. I never really got to use them for that purpose, but they can definitely be used for that, to just go in between, set up somewhere in between some ruins and just make it so your enemy can't move that fast. This can especially be hilarious if you took the Excavate Perfect Planning and you block off the open space with the bikes, and the ruin that you've excavated is -2 to move through. Maybe your opponent now thought they could get somewhere in their first turn, but now they have nowhere to go and are stuck in their deployment zone, which can really get you a big swing on the primary. So that's pretty much it for this first video. I just wanted to do a quick overview of some random thoughts I had and get content started out there. Let me know what you all think as far as the articles. I'm going to still do 1 a week, Gene Stealer focused, and I'm really going to focus on my competitive, my growth in learning how to play the Army, because I just think it's so deep, and there's not one right build, there's not one right way to even play the Army. It's very rewarding to play and learn. So if you guys want to see any specific content, definitely I'll do some battle reports, unit reviews coming up in the future here. So just thanks for watching, thanks for reading the articles, and let me know what you think at the end in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you all later.